Good afternoon, everybody ready? Okay. Almost 3 weeks ago, on May 16th, the Board of Pardon and Paroles and the governor put their politics over justice and made a mockery of our legal system. And for that, they should be ashamed of themselves. Their actions were contrary to the law. At the Travis County District Attorney's Office, we will continue to put our faith in the law, and we will continue to use the legal process to seek justice. We will continue to use the legal process to fight for Garrett Foster, for his family, and for his friends. Today, the Travis County District Attorney's Office will file a writ of mandamus against the governor. We will be asking for the courts to intervene in order to restore the sanctity of the rule of law in this great state. I'd like to introduce Holly Taylor. She is the director of the Travis County District Attorney's Office's Division of Public Integrity and Complex Crimes, to say a little bit more about our filing today.
Hello, I'm Holly Taylor. With this writ of mandamus, we are asking the Court of Criminal Appeals to reverse Governor Abbott's unlawful pardon of Daniel Perry for the murder of Garrett Foster. The premise of the writ is simple. Our democracy and our state works when each branch of government does not exceed their constitutional authority. When Governor Abbott issued the pardon, not only did he circumvent the process for pardons, he exceeded his authority and violated the separation of powers doctrine. The pardon was granted by Governor Abbott, although the codified process to support a finding of innocence was not followed. Further, by granting the pardon, Governor Abbott violated the separation of powers clause in the Texas Constitution by interfering with a lawful jury verdict and the appellate process. This is why we are asking the highest court in Texas to intervene. The actions of the governor left us with no other choice. We stand with Garrett Foster's family because his life matters, and we stand with Garrett Foster's family because we believe and honor the verdict of the jury. Our system depends on it.
I'd like to introduce you to Sheila Foster, to Garrett's mom.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity to speak against this injustice. It is absolutely unacceptable to our family, and we will fight this until we get justice for Garrett. He was an Air Force veteran, and our family, for every generation, has had someone serving this country in the United States military. My own child was killed on American soil for doing nothing but practicing his First and Second Amendment rights. And our governor just said that's okay, that's acceptable, as long as he doesn't like the victim or what the victim is saying. Systemic racism is still very, very real in Texas. And if we allow this as a body of Texans, if we allow this, we are setting a precedent for anybody else who wants to copycat that. And for any other governor who wants to overstep outside of their role and undermine the justice system that we have in place that has worked. We had justice for Garrett for 18 hours after waiting 3 years for a trial. We got justice for my son. It was planned, it was premeditated. And the very next day, the governor announced his plans to pardon, and now here we are, and he has done it. And I am not okay with this, and nobody should be okay with this. Thank you. I appreciate you.
That's all we have this afternoon. We're happy to take a couple of questions from you before we wrap up here.
What's the
likelihood of this moving forward the way you want it to?
Well, as I said, we have faith in the rule of law, and we have an obligation to pursue all of our legal remedies under the law, and we're going to continue to do that. This is going to be up to the Court of Criminal Appeals. And so the question is, what is the likelihood that the Court of Criminal Appeals, that the justices, that the men and women who serve in that body are going to follow the law? We're all going to find out soon.
How does that process work? Paperwork, what are kind of some of the details going into that?
Sure, we have filed our request today, and so we will file a brief in support of that request that makes the argument and the explanation to the court as to why they should intervene. We are also requesting the opportunity for oral argument. So we're asking the court to allow us to come and make our case on behalf of our democracy, our legal system, and the family. And we hope that they will grant us that opportunity.
So how long does that time frame take for them to review it and come back?
You know, every case is different. I don't have a sense of how long this one will take.
Clearly, this case was unusual in terms of how that process
I'll come to you
went
next.
with the pardons parole board, but can you give us a snapshot of your argument on what was illegal about that process and what should be, why it should be overturned?
Well, as Holly said, here in the state of Texas, our separation of powers, law and authority is particularly strong. Every branch of government has their own role and should play their own role. Here in the state of Texas, it is up to our judicial system to determine whether a person is guilty or innocent and what the outcome should be. And then there is a lengthy appellate process that should be followed in every case. Here, the executive, the governor, intervened in that process and prohibited the judiciary from doing their work. As we've said, that's a violation of the separation of powers principles. But the other piece of this is that there are rules about what people who are seeking pardons, particularly on the grounds of actual innocence, have to demonstrate in order to be eligible. They didn't even come close to meeting those standards in this case. You had a question over here?
Yeah, have you considered or spoken to the Army about trying him in a military court-martial?
Again, at this point, we are going to continue to use every legal process available to us. We represent the state of Texas in Travis County. We're going to take the next appropriate step with it, which is our Court of Criminal Appeals, and we'll consider our options after that.
Is that court-martial an option for you, though, down the road if this one doesn't work?
It's not an option that we've discussed, but as I said, we're going to be considering all of our options.
What about this proposal from several attorneys general around the country who have pressed for a federal civil rights investigation and possible charges there? Are you interested in pursuing that route?
I think it's clear that people all across the country are outraged about what has happened to Garrett, what's happened to his family, about the way that the governor has made a mockery of our legal system. And so I was not surprised to see attorney generals across the country raise their voices and ask the Department of Justice to intervene. We're grateful for their request. We would echo their request and are hopeful that the Department of Justice will do the responsible thing and intervene on the side of the rule of law.
Has a pardon ever been overturned in Texas?
I'm not sure. So I think all of this is new territory. Up to this point, I'm not aware of the governor ever requesting a pardon so soon in the process, requesting a pardon for someone who had been sentenced to prison. I'm not aware of the Board of Pardon and Paroles recommending a pardon. All of this is new ground.
About how long does that process take?
I'm sorry, which process?
How long does that process take for you guys to give the writ, what's it called?
The writ of mandamus?
How long does that take?
We'll be filing today, and it'll be up to the Court of Criminal Appeals in terms of how long they take to consider it.
Is this something you started considering right as it was potential that a pardon was going to happen?
Again, I mean, we have said from the beginning that we are going to fight to uphold this conviction, and we're going to fight to support this family. And so we have been considering every option available to us from the minute the governor made this request on social media.
There have been political accusations around this case since the beginning. Your confidence that an all-Republican elected Supreme Court or Court of Criminal Appeals in the state of Texas will analyze this in a way that you think is fair, legal?
Look, after the governor's actions, after the actions of the Board of Pardons and Paroles, I can understand that it is difficult for anyone to continue to have faith in our legal system. But we are charged with upholding that legal system, and we have an obligation and a responsibility to do everything we can that it is, to ensure that it is a legal system that operates as it should and with the best interests of the people who live in this state. And so we're going to continue to pursue every option available to us. Got room for one more? Yep.
How rare is it to turn to a writ of mandamus? I know of those that have been used before, but how successful are they basically?
Well, it is, a writ of mandamus on its own is a relatively extraordinary act. You are asking a higher court to weigh in and tell an elected official or a lower court to do the right thing. They are, I couldn't speak to their frequency of success. I think it often depends on how egregious the conduct is. In this instance, the conduct is quite egregious, and so we're hopeful that the Court of Criminal Appeals will do the right thing. Okay, thank you guys so much. You can reach out to Ismail if you have any follow-up questions.